Hi. So last time we talked about emotional affairs, and this is part two of that. And something we wanted to bring up in this video is that it's okay to have friends of the opposite gender, and you can have good friends of the opposite gender, but just to be aware of what's happening and that it's okay for your spouse to bring up their concerns. Even if you don't have any concerns, your spouse is allowed to talk about something if they observe something that they feel uncomfortable about.
Or if there's just a situation that could potentially lead to something at some point and they're concerned about it.
Yeah. So we had a situation years ago where Shane was working with somebody that was a woman, and I didn't know her. I'd never met her, and but I met her, and they had been working together for a while, and I met her, and I was like, whoa, she's gorgeous. Like, wow, do you have like a lot of meetings with her? Do you have one-on-ones? Like, what's your relationship like? Because she's really, really gorgeous. And he was like, oh, like, I've never thought of anything about it. Like, she's a nice person, we get along, but like, I'm not concerned about anything. And then I said, okay. And that was it. Which is just really nice to be able to bring that up. Like, my mind was at ease. It's just nice to be able to talk about it.
That could be something where Catherine just sat for a long time, like wondering, like, oh, Shane works with this really cute girl. Like, what about X? What about Y? But it's so healthy to be able to just talk about that, even if nothing is going on, to just get ahead of it. If you have a thought or a concern or something that could become something, talk about it. And sometimes it's not just about how I feel or you feel as an individual. It could be like someone else is feeling an emotional relationship building with you. And that's something else to be conscious of.
And respectful of.
Yeah, on both sides. Both for them and for you and your spouse.
Yeah.
And so to give some background on another example, Catherine and I had another mutual friend that was a woman, and we were good friends. And yeah, why don't you
take it from there?
Take
it away. So we did a lot with this friend and her spouse. They were good friends of ours, and they still are. And I just noticed that I just had this feeling that something was different. And we'd been friends with them for a chunk of time, and I just didn't feel comfortable. And one day we were all together, just the three of us, so me, Shane, and this girl, and I felt like I was chaperoning a date. Like, I was just like watching them like play tennis or something, just like he said something, she said something, they laughed, and I don't know, it was just like I wasn't there. Like, I don't know, I could just tell that there's a lot of connecting going on, and which is fine, like it's totally fine, but it kept happening. And I think that's one of the biggest things with affairs, or like the beginnings of these things. Like, it's totally fine to laugh with someone of the opposite sex and to have a great friendship, but sometimes there's just this like change that you can sense, and I could sense it in her. I felt like I wasn't really like super worried about Shane, so I brought it up to him and I said, hey, have you been noticing that you two like are super connecting and like on a lot of things? And
I felt like we had always connected on a lot of things, and we had been good friends for years, and so we were just close friends, and I didn't feel anything on my side. I didn't feel like there was really anything weird going on, but Catherine felt something was weird on this other person's part. And then we started noticing things like as time went on, where it's like, oh yeah, she might be feeling an emotional relationship building, and it kept being an ongoing conversation for us. And at first we didn't want to like change any relationships because nothing was going on. I wasn't going to let anything happen, and like we were both friends with this person, but it just kept happening. And so eventually we made the decision to just put a lot of space in that friendship. And that can be such a healthy thing. Again, not just for us and our marriage. Like, even though nothing was going on, Catherine's feelings were valid. And the fact that she had those feelings and was concerned about it, something should be done. Even if nothing was happening on my end. But then there's also the other person. And they...
Their marriage.
Yeah, they have a marriage. And things like that can put a wedge between her and her spouse, even if it's not a conscious thing. And so it's good for us and good for them for us to just put space in that relationship. And just by putting space for an extended period of time, like, we didn't have to stop being friends with them. We didn't have to bring it up to them. We just had space and limited contact for a while. And we were able to keep that friendship going, keep that alive, and
we're still friends with them,
and maybe nothing was happening.
Yeah.
But it was really awesome that we were able to talk about it and that we did something about it, because even if it was nothing, we protected our marriage and hopefully helped them in some way as well.
And I feel like it was really helpful that Shane made it a safe place for me to share my observations with him. He didn't get mad at me. He was a little defensive, which is understandable because he didn't feel any of those same feelings. The biggest thing is just to be aware that these things can happen and to talk about them. And again, we're not saying that you can't have friends of the opposite sex. Like, you can laugh with them, joke with them, like have great friendships with people. Like, there's people that are of the opposite sex that I'm still friends with that, like, I absolutely love, adore, we laugh with a lot, but I'm not, like, confiding in them about my personal life. And, you know, there's just elements that make it, like, a healthy relationship.
Because that's for your spouse. Like, what emotional relationships are when you start getting more gratification from another relationship than you do from your spouse, or start prioritizing that relationship over your spouse. And so if there's ever a hint of that, talk about it and fix it.
Yeah. And I'm kind of sensitive about this just because I have a friend that was accused of having an affair with somebody at work, and she wasn't, and it was just extraordinarily difficult for her. So I guess just don't judge others. I guess, like, if this is just about you and your spouse and you communicating openly about your feelings, learning together, learning that maybe one of you might be more paranoid, like one of you might not be paranoid at all, and, you know, just communicating. And this is just about you and your spouse. It's not about pointing fingers or looking at other people, but just trying to keep your relationship strong.
Yeah.